The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch has aired dozens of episodes across multiple seasons, documenting Brandon Fugal's team as they investigate the mysterious phenomena occurring on the Utah property. The show has featured dramatic moments, strange lights in the sky, equipment failures, radiation spikes, time anomalies, and encounters with unexplained phenomena that defy conventional explanation. Each season has pushed boundaries, revealing increasingly compelling evidence that something extraordinary is happening at Skinwalker Ranch. But according to multiple sources with direct knowledge of the production, there's one episode that was filmed, fully edited, and approved for broadcast, then suddenly pulled from the schedule at the last minute and permanently banned from ever being released. This isn't an episode that was deemed too boring, or that had technical issues requiring reshoots. This was compelling, dramatic content that executives were initially excited to air, content that was considered some of the most extraordinary footage ever captured at the ranch. The decision to permanently ban the episode came after extensive review by History Channel executives, legal counsel, government consultants, and security experts who all reached the same conclusion. This episode could never be shown to the public under any circumstances. According to sources, the episode documents an investigation and discovery that crossed lines the network wasn't willing to cross, raising national security concerns, capturing phenomena so disturbing that broadcast could cause public panic, and revealing information that powerful interests demanded remain classified. In revelations released just moments ago, individuals involved with the production have disclosed what was filmed during this banned episode, what discovery was made that made it too dangerous to air, and why the decision was made to permanently suppress footage that could have been the most significant episode in the show's history. The banned episode from The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch documented an investigation during Season 4, filming that pushed the team's experiments into territory they'd previously avoided. An aggressive attempt to force direct contact with whatever intelligence or phenomenon operates at the ranch. The team had become frustrated with passive observation and incremental evidence gathering, explained a production source. They decided to conduct an experiment designed to provoke a maximum response, essentially demanding that whatever is at Skinwalker Ranch reveal itself directly. The experiment involved unprecedented coordinated stimulation of the ranch. Powerful lasers were aimed at known hotspots. High-energy radio transmissions were broadcast at frequencies known to correlate with phenomena. Rockets were launched above the triangle area to provoke aerial responses, and simultaneously, the team activated drilling equipment targeting the underground anomaly. The idea was to stimulate the ranch from multiple directions simultaneously, creating conditions that would force a response rather than waiting for phenomena to occur spontaneously, the source explained. The experiment was conducted at night to maximize visibility of any aerial phenomena. Every camera the team possessed was positioned and recording. Thermal imagers, standard video cameras, spectrographic equipment, radiation detectors, and sophisticated sensor arrays, all capturing data simultaneously. They wanted comprehensive documentation of whatever happened, the source stated. Every sensor, every camera, every measurement device was active and recording. Within minutes of beginning the coordinated stimulation, the ranch responded, but the response was far more dramatic and more disturbing than anyone had anticipated. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming, the source revealed. The phenomena that manifested weren't subtle or ambiguous. They were overt, undeniable, and absolutely terrifying to everyone present. What the cameras captured during the approximately 40 minutes of intense activity that followed would become the banned episode. Footage so extraordinary and so disturbing that network executives determined it could never be shown to the public. The first manifestation captured on camera during the banned episode involved aerial phenomena appearing directly above the ranch in response to the team's stimulation. Phenomena that were not ambiguous lights or thermal signatures, but clearly structured objects exhibiting impossible flight characteristics. Multiple objects appeared in the sky above the ranch, the production source described. These weren't distant lights or unclear shapes. These were clearly visible structured craft exhibiting flight capabilities that defy known physics. The objects appeared suddenly, seeming to materialize from nowhere rather than approaching from a distance. Thermal cameras captured the moment of appearance. The objects simply weren't there in one frame and were present in the next, with no transition period. The thermal footage shows instantaneous appearance, the source explained. One moment the sky is empty, the next frame shows 3 large objects hovering above the ranch. There's no approach trajectory, no acceleration period, just instant presence. The objects exhibited characteristics that the team's aerospace experts, including Dr. Travis Taylor, stated were aerodynamically impossible. They performed maneuvers including instantaneous 90-degree direction changes at what appeared to be supersonic speeds, hovering motionless, then accelerating to extreme velocity in fractions of a second, and moving in formations that suggested coordinated intelligent control. Travis was watching this in real time and kept saying, "That's impossible. That's physically impossible," the source stated. The G-forces from those maneuvers would destroy any known aircraft and kill any occupants. Yet these objects were performing them repeatedly. The objects also responded directly to the team's actions. When lasers were pointed at them, they moved. When radio transmissions changed frequency, the object's behavior changed correspondingly. The objects were clearly reacting to what the team was doing, the source explained. It wasn't random behavior. It was interactive, responsive, demonstrating awareness of the team's actions and deliberate response to them. Most disturbing was what happened when one object descended closer to the ground. As it approached, it became more clearly visible, revealing details of its structure. One object came down to about 500 feet altitude, close enough that visual detail was visible, the source revealed. The cameras captured clear footage showing a structured craft, metallic or reflective surface, geometric shape, visible features that were clearly artificial. This wasn't just lights or ambiguous shapes. This was unambiguous structured craft of unknown origin. During the banned episode, the phenomena escalated beyond visual manifestations to what the team interpreted as an attempted communication from the intelligence controlling the objects, communication that was captured on multiple recording devices and that conveyed specific information. While the objects were visible in the sky, the team's radio equipment began receiving structured signals, the production source explained. These weren't random interference or natural radio phenomena. These were organized transmissions showing characteristics of deliberate communication. The signals contained patterns, repeating sequences, variations suggesting information content, and structure indicating intelligence rather than natural sources. Dr. Travis Taylor immediately recognized the signals as potentially meaningful and began attempting to analyze and decode them. Travis started recording and analyzing the signals in real time, the source stated. He identified mathematical patterns, recognized prime number sequences, and detected what appeared to be structured information rather than random noise. Some team members also reported experiencing what they described as direct mental communication, thoughts or information appearing in their consciousness that they knew weren't their own thoughts. Multiple people reported hearing voices or receiving information mentally, the source revealed. They described it as thoughts being placed in their minds, clear, structured information that they recognized as coming from external source rather than being their own thoughts. The content of both the radio transmissions and the reported mental communications was specific and disturbing. According to those who experienced it, the intelligence identified itself, stated its purposes at the ranch, provided information about human history that challenged conventional understanding, and issued warnings about consequences of continuing aggressive investigation. The communications included specific claims about who or what this intelligence is, why they're at Skinwalker Ranch, what their relationship to humanity has been historically, and warnings that continued provocation would result in consequences, the source explained carefully. The specific content of these communications is part of why the episode was banned. The claims made were so extraordinary and so potentially disruptive that network executives determined they couldn't be broadcast even as alleged communications from unknown sources. What the intelligence claimed about itself and about humanity was so radical and so challenging to established beliefs that broadcasting it, even framed as alleged communications, was deemed too dangerous, the source stated. During the phenomena captured in the banned episode, multiple team members experienced severe physical effects that required medical intervention and that demonstrated the genuine danger of the aggressive investigation approach. Several people collapsed during the event, the production source revealed. They lost consciousness, experienced severe physiological symptoms, and required emergency medical treatment. Dr. Travis Taylor himself was among those seriously affected. He experienced what appeared to be a seizure-like episode, losing consciousness, exhibiting convulsive movements, and requiring immediate medical attention from team members. Travis went down hard, the source stated. One moment he was standing analyzing data. The next, he was on the ground unconscious with his body rigid and shaking. It was terrifying to witness. Other team members experienced severe symptoms, including sudden onset of extreme headaches, described as the worst pain they'd ever experienced, visual disturbances, including temporary blindness or seeing geometric patterns, auditory hallucinations or intense ringing in ears, nausea and vomiting, and difficulty breathing or sensation of pressure on chest. Multiple people were on the ground unable to function, the source explained. The medical personnel on site were overwhelmed trying to treat multiple casualties simultaneously. Emergency medical services were called, and several team members were transported to hospitals. Medical evaluation revealed concerning findings: abnormal brain activity on EEG scans, elevated markers in blood work suggesting physiological stress, and vital signs showing effects consistent with exposure to unknown environmental factors. Hospital doctors couldn't explain what had caused the symptoms based on conventional medical understanding, the source stated. The pattern of effects across multiple people suggested environmental exposure rather than individual medical events, but there was no identifiable environmental factor that would account for the symptoms. Most disturbing was that the symptoms appeared to correlate directly with proximity to the aerial phenomena and with the intensity of the communications. People who were closer to where the objects hovered, or who reported stronger mental communications, experienced more severe physiological effects. There was clear dose-response relationship, the source explained. The closer you were to the phenomena, or the more intensely you experienced the communications, the worse your physical symptoms were. That suggests the phenomena were directly causing the physiological effects. The banned episode's footage includes visual documentation of phenomena that goes far beyond the ambiguous or unclear evidence typically shown on paranormal television. The cameras captured clear, unambiguous imagery that definitively shows objects and events that cannot be explained by conventional understanding. "The footage is extraordinary," stated someone who's viewed the complete episode. "This isn't blurry shapes or distant lights that could be anything. This is high-definition, multi-angle footage of structured craft exhibiting impossible flight characteristics, captured by professional equipment with data corroboration from multiple sensors. The visual footage shows objects that are clearly artificial, geometric shapes with visible surface features, apparently metallic or highly reflective materials, and structured components suggesting complex engineering. The objects are visible against the night sky with stars in background, providing scale and perspective. "You can see these are manufactured objects," the viewer explained. "They have defined edges, surface features, apparent structural components. They're not natural phenomena or misidentified conventional aircraft. They're clearly engineered craft of some kind." The flight characteristics captured on camera are equally definitive. The footage shows maneuvers that multiple aerospace experts have stated violate known physics, accelerations that would require G-forces that would destroy any known material, direction changes without deceleration and re-acceleration that conventional propulsion can't achieve, and hovering capabilities without any visible means of lift or thrust. The footage definitively shows flight capabilities beyond anything human technology can achieve, the viewer stated. "There's no ambiguity. These objects are doing things that our aircraft cannot do and that our physics says shouldn't be possible." The cameras also captured the moment when one object appeared to emit some kind of energy beam or field that affected the team. Visible distortion in the air, similar to heat shimmer, emanated from the object toward the ground where team members were standing. "You can actually see something being projected from the object toward the team," the viewer explained. "The air distorts, there's visible effect like looking through heated air, and immediately people start collapsing. The footage shows direct cause and effect. The object does something, and people are immediately affected." Perhaps most significant is that the footage includes clear images of the objects at close range, close enough that structural details, surface features, and even what appear to be markings or symbols on the object's surfaces are visible. There's footage of one object at close range, close enough to see details of its construction, its surface characteristics, even what look like symbols or markings on its exterior, the viewer revealed. "It's the clearest footage of an unidentified craft that's probably ever been captured." Within hours of the incident documented in the banned episode, government personnel arrived at Skinwalker Ranch, a response that was immediate, comprehensive, and that made clear the event had attracted official attention at the highest levels. Government vehicles showed up at the ranch before sunrise, less than 6 hours after the incident, the production source explained. These weren't local authorities responding to emergency calls. These were federal agents, military personnel, and officials from agencies that most people have never heard of. The government personnel immediately secured the site, confiscated recording equipment and data storage devices, and began interrogating team members about what had occurred. The response was organized and professional, suggesting this was not improvised, but rather an established protocol being implemented. "They knew exactly what they were doing," the source stated. "This wasn't their first time responding to an incident like this. They had procedures, they had authority, and they made very clear that they were in charge and that everyone needed to cooperate fully." All footage and data from the investigation was confiscated under National Security Authority. Team members were required to surrender phones, cameras, computers, and any devices that might contain recordings or data from the incident. Everything that could contain data was confiscated, the source explained. They took memory cards, hard drives, backup systems, even personal phones. They wanted every possible copy of the footage and data. Team members were also required to sign non-disclosure agreements and were warned about severe consequences for discussing the incident publicly. The NDAs were backed by national security classification, making violation a federal crime potentially punishable by imprisonment. The NDAs weren't standard production confidentiality agreements. These were government security NDAs with criminal penalties for violation, the source stated. People were told explicitly that discussing what happened could result in federal prosecution. The government's immediate and comprehensive response made clear that what happened at Skinwalker Ranch that night was considered a national security matter requiring the highest levels of classification and control. The incident wasn't being treated as unexplained phenomena requiring investigation. It was being treated as a security event requiring suppression. The government's reaction told us that what we'd captured wasn't unknown to them, the source noted. They knew what we'd encountered, they had protocols for responding to it, and they were determined to prevent any information from becoming public. Despite the extraordinary nature of the footage, and despite initial excitement about having captured the most compelling evidence ever documented at Skinwalker Ranch, History Channel executives made the decision to permanently ban the episode after reviewing it and consulting with legal counsel and government liaisons. The decision came from the highest levels of the network and its parent company, explained a network insider. Multiple factors converged to make releasing the episode impossible from the network's perspective. The first factor was government pressure. Federal agencies made clear that broadcasting the episode would be considered a national security violation. While the network theoretically has First Amendment protections, the government indicated it would pursue legal action to prevent broadcast. The government threatened injunctions, argued the footage contained classified information, even though it was captured by civilians on private property, and made clear they would use every legal mechanism available to prevent broadcast, the insider explained. The second factor was liability concerns. Legal counsel warned that broadcasting footage showing team members being injured by unknown phenomena could expose the network to lawsuits from injured parties or their families. The lawyers said showing people being physically harmed on camera, even in the context of an investigation they voluntarily participated in, created liability exposure, the insider stated, especially given that the footage shows clear cause and effect. The objects do something, and people are immediately injured. The third factor was concern about public reaction. Executives worried that broadcasting definitive footage of craft exhibiting impossible flight characteristics and appearing to attack humans could cause panic or civil unrest. There were serious discussions about whether showing this footage could cause widespread fear, could destabilize public confidence in government and institutions, could trigger panic buying or other irrational responses, the insider explained. The fourth factor was advertiser concerns. Major advertisers indicated they wouldn't want their brands associated with content this controversial and potentially disturbing. Advertisers don't want to be associated with content that shows people being attacked by UFOs, the insider noted. The commercial implications of lost advertising revenue factored into the decision. Ultimately, the combination of government threats, legal liability, public safety concerns, and commercial considerations made the decision clear. The episode would never air. Despite never being broadcast, the banned episode from The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch represents significant evidence about the phenomena occurring at the property and about the reality of unexplained aerial phenomena more broadly. This episode proves several things definitively, at least for those who've seen the footage, stated the source who viewed it. It proves that structured craft of unknown origin exist and operate in Earth's atmosphere. It proves these craft exhibit capabilities far beyond known human technology. It proves that there's intelligence controlling these craft that can interact with humans. And it proves the government knows about these craft and has established protocols for responding to encounters with them. The quality and comprehensiveness of the documentation distinguishes this episode from typical UFO footage. This isn't grainy video from a single camera showing distant lights. This is high-definition footage from multiple cameras and sensors, showing close-range details of craft, capturing impossible flight maneuvers, documenting responsive behaviors, indicating intelligence, and showing direct effects on humans. This is the quality of evidence that UFO researchers have been seeking for decades, the source explained. Multiple cameras, multiple witnesses, sensor data corroboration, clear images showing structural details, documentation of flight characteristics, evidence of interaction and intelligence. It's comprehensive proof of something extraordinary. The episode also proves that aggressive investigation of these phenomena carries real risks. The physical effects experienced by team members demonstrate that these aren't just lights in the sky to be observed from safe distance. These are phenomena that can affect humans physically and potentially dangerously. The footage definitively shows that these phenomena can harm people, the source stated. That's important information that has safety implications for anyone investigating UAPs or related phenomena. Most significantly, the government's response to the incident proves that official agencies know about these phenomena, take them seriously, and actively work to prevent public knowledge of encounters. The immediate government response, the confiscation of evidence, the classification NDAs, the pressure to suppress the episode, all of that proves the government knows these phenomena are real and actively suppresses information about them, the source explained. For those involved in the investigation and those who've seen the footage, the banned episode represents definitive proof that challenges fundamental assumptions about human technology, our place in the universe, and what our government knows but won't disclose. The existence of the banned Skinwalker Ranch episode, comprehensive documentation of extraordinary phenomena that will never be shown publicly, represents both frustration and vindication for those who believe unexplained phenomena deserve serious investigation. It's frustrating that the most compelling evidence ever captured at Skinwalker Ranch will never be seen by the public, reflected the production source. This footage would answer so many questions, would prove definitively that something extraordinary is happening, would advance public understanding of these phenomena. Instead, it sits in a vault, suppressed by government pressure and network liability concerns. However, the episode's existence, even if suppressed, validates the investigation of Skinwalker Ranch and lends credibility to the documented phenomena that have been shown on broadcast episodes. The fact that an episode was filmed, edited, approved for broadcast, then banned at the highest levels, tells you that the Skinwalker Ranch investigation is capturing real, significant phenomena, the source stated. Networks don't ban episodes unless there's genuine reason. Either the content is so dangerous it can't be shown, or it's so extraordinary that powerful interests demand suppression. For the team members who experienced the incident, the banned episode represents both vindication and burden. They know what they experienced, they know it was real and extraordinary, but they're legally prohibited from discussing it publicly. The people who were there that night carry the knowledge of what happened, the source explained. They know they encountered something that proved the reality of non-human intelligence and technology, but they can't talk about it without violating federal NDAs and risking prosecution. The banned episode also raises questions about what other evidence has been suppressed from Skinwalker Ranch investigations over the years. If this episode was deemed too dangerous to air, what else has been captured but hidden? You have to wonder what else has been suppressed, the source noted. How many other incidents have occurred that we don't know about because they were classified or covered up before information could spread? For future seasons of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, the banned episode serves as a warning about the limits of investigation, a reminder that there are boundaries that powerful interests won't allow to be crossed publicly. The team learned that there are limits to how far they can push before encountering forces that will shut them down, the source stated. The banned episode marked a line. Cross that line, and the investigation will be stopped, evidence will be confiscated, and disclosure will be prevented. Ultimately, the banned episode from The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch will likely remain permanently suppressed. Too dangerous to broadcast, too extraordinary to dismiss, existing as evidence known to a small group but hidden from the public that might benefit most from knowing that we're not alone and that the universe contains intelligences and technologies far beyond our current understanding. The episode that will never be released remains as testament to both the reality of unexplained phenomena and the powerful forces determined to keep that reality hidden from humanity. Thomas Winterton serves as ranch superintendent and security director on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, bringing his extensive background in security operations, surveillance technology, and threat assessment to the investigation team. Throughout multiple seasons, Thomas has managed the ranch's sophisticated security and monitoring systems, reviewed countless hours of surveillance footage, and maintained operational security for the property and investigation activities. In his role, Thomas has access to all camera feeds, sensor data, and monitoring systems covering Skinwalker Ranch, surveillance that captures activity 24 hours per day across the 512-acre property. While the television show presents selected moments from this continuous monitoring, Thomas reviews everything, seeing the complete unfiltered documentation of what occurs at the ranch when cameras are recording, but broadcasts aren't airing. Throughout his tenure, Thomas has maintained professional discretion about what surveillance systems capture, sharing information with Brandon Fugel and the investigation team while respecting boundaries about what should be publicly disclosed. He's appeared on the show providing security updates and reporting specific incidents, but has generally kept detailed knowledge about surveillance findings private. But in a stunning announcement released just moments ago, Thomas Winterton has decided to admit what he saw in command center footage, breaking his silence about surveillance captures that have never been broadcast, phenomena documented by security systems that the public hasn't seen, and his honest assessment of what years of continuous monitoring have revealed about Skinwalker Ranch. Thomas Winterton reveals that the surveillance footage shown on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch represents a tiny fraction of what security cameras have actually captured, and that the most extraordinary documentation remains in archives, never broadcast. The show presents maybe 1% of interesting surveillance captures, Thomas stated. The other 99%, including some of the most compelling footage, stays in the command center archives because it's too clear, too disturbing, or too problematic to air. Thomas describes reviewing footage daily, showing phenomena that would shock viewers accustomed to the edited highlights presented on broadcast episodes. Every day, I review footage showing things that would be headline news if aired, Thomas explained. Structured craft at close range, entities moving across the property, underground lights visible at surface, phenomena that remove all ambiguity about whether something extraordinary happens here. The surveillance system captures activity continuously from dozens of cameras positioned across the ranch. Coverage that documents phenomena when investigation teams aren't present and when filming for television isn't occurring. The cameras run 24/7, capturing everything, Thomas stated. The most dramatic activity often happens between 2 to 4 a.m. when nobody's filming for the show. That footage exists, but viewers never see it. Thomas estimates that security cameras have captured hundreds of incidents that would qualify as compelling evidence, far more than the selected moments featured across multiple seasons of television. We have archived footage of hundreds of incidents showing aerial phenomena, surface entities, unexplained lights, and events that definitively prove extraordinary activity occurs here, Thomas revealed. Most will never be seen publicly because of various concerns about disclosure, credibility, or commercial considerations. Thomas Winterton admits that security cameras at Skinwalker Ranch have repeatedly captured entities or beings moving across the property. Footage showing figures that appear humanoid, but that display characteristics suggesting they aren't human. I've watched footage of entities moving across the ranch probably 50 times over the years, Thomas stated. These aren't team members, aren't trespassers, aren't animals. These are figures that show clear bipedal humanoid form, but with proportions and movement that aren't human. The entities appear most frequently during early morning hours between 2 to 4 a.m., moving through specific zones of the property with apparent purpose rather than wandering randomly. They appear in predictable areas at predictable times, Thomas explained. They move with purpose towards specific locations, drilling sites, equipment installations, areas where recent investigation activity occurred. Thermal cameras capture the entities showing heat signatures that differ from human thermal patterns, irregular temperature distributions, cool areas where humans would show warmth, and patterns suggesting non-biological heat generation. The thermal signatures are wrong for humans, Thomas stated. The heat distribution doesn't match living biology. It looks more like technology generating heat than biological body temperature. The entities demonstrate awareness of camera positions, often positioning themselves to avoid direct, clear imagery while remaining visible enough to be detected. They know where cameras are and position themselves to be seen but not clearly identified, Thomas explained. That suggests intelligence and deliberate management of how they're documented. Most disturbing is footage showing entities apparently examining or interacting with investigation equipment, approaching drill sites, inspecting cameras, and appearing to conduct their own surveillance of human activities. I've watched footage of entities examining our equipment like they're conducting their own investigation of us, Thomas revealed. Thomas Winterton confirms that security cameras have captured clear footage of structured craft hovering above Skinwalker Ranch, objects that he describes as definitively proving the presence of advanced technology of unknown origin. The cameras have captured craft at close range, hovering or moving slowly enough to see structural details, Thomas stated. This isn't distant lights or ambiguous shapes. This is clear documentation of manufactured vehicles exhibiting flight characteristics that prove non-human technology. The craft appear in various configurations: triangular objects with lights at vertices, disc-shaped craft showing surface features, and elongated cylindrical objects with visible structural components. I've reviewed footage showing different types of craft: triangles, discs, cylinders, all showing characteristics proving they're solid manufactured objects, Thomas explained. The footage captures craft at altitudes ranging from 50 to 500 feet, close enough that cameras document surface details including panel-like sections, apparent seams or joints, and markings or features suggesting complex construction. Some footage shows craft close enough to see surface features. You can make out panels, structural details, features that prove these are engineered vehicles, Thomas stated. The craft demonstrate flight capabilities that Thomas says definitively prove they're not conventional aircraft, hovering motionless for extended periods, accelerating from stationary to extreme velocity instantaneously, and performing maneuvers that violate aerodynamic principles. The maneuvers captured on camera are physically impossible for conventional aircraft, Thomas explained. Accelerations that would generate G-forces that would destroy any known vehicle, turns that defy momentum conservation, capabilities that prove advanced technology. Most significantly, the craft appear on regular schedules, suggesting operations following specific timing rather than random appearances. The craft appear at predictable times and locations, Thomas revealed. That proves organized operations, not random phenomena. Thomas Winterton describes surveillance footage documenting underground activity at Skinwalker Ranch, phenomena suggesting that whatever exists beneath the surface operates most actively during nighttime hours. Cameras positioned to monitor ground-level areas capture underground activity manifesting at the surface, Thomas explained. Lights emerging from ground, physical disturbances, and evidence that systems underground are most active between midnight and dawn. The footage shows lights appearing at ground level in areas where ground-penetrating radar has detected underground voids, luminosity in colors including blue, green, and white, emanating from cracks in rock, or from areas where ground appears to allow emissions through. "We capture footage of lights coming from underground," Thomas stated. "Not reflected light from external sources, actual emission from below the surface in colors that don't match any natural phenomena." Ground-level cameras also document physical disturbances correlating with underground activity, soil movements where ground appears to shift, rocks that relocate without visible cause, and depressions forming as if underground excavation is occurring. Footage shows ground physically moving, settling, shifting, changing in ways that prove activity underground is affecting the surface, Thomas explained. Audio sensors synchronized with cameras capture sounds correlating with visual underground phenomena, low-frequency rumbling, mechanical-sounding rhythms, and occasionally higher-pitched tones suggesting machinery or technology. When visual underground activity occurs, audio sensors capture sounds that are clearly artificial, mechanical, rhythmic, suggesting equipment or systems operating below, Thomas stated. Most intriguing is that underground activity responds to surface investigation, intensifying when drilling occurs, showing patterns suggesting awareness of human activities, and demonstrating what appears to be communication or coordination with aerial phenomena. Underground activity and aerial craft appearances correlate in ways proving they're connected parts of integrated operation, Thomas revealed. Thomas Winterton admits that despite reviewing countless hours of surveillance footage documenting extraordinary phenomena, certain captures genuinely terrified him. Footage showing events so disturbing or so threatening that they challenged his professional objectivity. "I've seen footage that scared me, genuinely frightened me in ways that go beyond professional concern," Thomas stated. "These are incidents that suggested genuine threat, that showed capabilities that could be used to harm people, that made me question whether continuing investigation is safe." One incident Thomas describes involved entity approaching ranch buildings, coming far closer to human-occupied structures than typical patterns, exhibiting behavior suggesting interest in or surveillance of team members, and demonstrating awareness of security systems in ways that suggested intelligence monitoring the investigators. "I watched footage of entity approaching the main building where team members were sleeping," Thomas revealed. "It positioned itself where it could observe windows, appeared to be deliberately watching or studying the humans inside. That crossed from interesting phenomenon to potentially threatening surveillance." Another disturbing capture showed craft descending very close to ground level near area where team members had been working hours earlier. Altitude and proximity suggesting the craft was examining or investigating human activity sites. Footage showed craft descending to maybe 30 feet altitude directly above area where the team had been drilling, Thomas explained. "The proximity and apparent interest in our activities felt threatening, like we were being watched and studied in ways that suggested we might be subjects of their investigation." Most terrifying was footage capturing what appeared to be directed energy or force affecting physical objects, equipment moving without contact, materials displaced by unseen force, and effects suggesting technology capable of manipulating matter. "I've seen footage showing objects moved by invisible force, Equipment affected by what looks like directed energy, Thomas stated. Those capabilities could easily harm people if deliberately used against humans. Thomas Winterton explains his decision to finally admit what he's seen in command center footage, after years of maintaining professional discretion. A decision motivated by conviction that the public deserves truth about what surveillance has documented. I've stayed quiet about the most extraordinary footage because I respected Brandon's authority over disclosure and because I understood concerns about credibility and controversy, Thomas stated. But I have reached a point where continuing to hide evidence this significant feels wrong. Thomas believes the surveillance footage provides definitive proof of claims that remain controversial or dismissed by skeptics. Proof that non-human craft operate at Skinwalker Ranch, that entities monitor the property, and that underground installation remains active. The footage proves what the show suggests, but can't definitively demonstrate through broadcast episodes, Thomas explained. We have definitive evidence sitting in archives while public debates whether anything extraordinary actually happens here. Thomas is also motivated by safety concerns. If phenomena documented in surveillance footage represent genuine threats, people deserve to know about the dangers rather than having them concealed. Some footage shows phenomena that could be dangerous, Thomas stated. If there's genuine risk to investigators or to others, concealing that information for commercial or credibility reasons seems irresponsible. Personal integrity also factors into Thomas's decision. Continuing to maintain silence about what he's witnessed contradicts his values about honesty and transparency. I can't keep hiding truth about what cameras have documented, Thomas explained. My professional role is security and truthful reporting about threats and activities. Selective disclosure conflicts with those responsibilities. Thomas acknowledges he may face consequences for breaking silence, but believes the importance of disclosure outweighs personal risks. Through years of reviewing surveillance footage, Thomas Winterton has identified patterns in Skinwalker Ranch phenomena that prove the activity is organized, scheduled, and purposeful, rather than random or natural. The surveillance data shows clear patterns, temporal schedules, spatial organizations, and response protocols that prove intelligent control, Thomas stated. Aerial phenomena appear on predictable schedules, specific times of night, correlation with lunar phases, and timing that suggests operations following astronomical or temporal rules. Craft appearances follow schedules, Thomas explained. They appear at similar times, cluster during specific lunar phases, and show timing patterns proving organized operations rather than random visits. Entity movements follow routes, appearing in specific locations, moving through defined paths across the property, and visiting areas in sequences suggesting patrol or inspection patterns. Entities follow patrol routes, Thomas stated. They visit specific areas in predictable sequences, like they're conducting systematic surveillance or inspection of the property. Underground activity correlates with surface phenomena. Underground emissions precede or follow aerial craft appearances by predictable intervals, suggesting coordination between underground installation and aerial operations. Underground activity and craft appearances are connected, Thomas explained. When underground systems activate, aerial phenomena typically follow within hours, proving they're part of integrated operation. Most significantly, phenomena respond to investigation activities following protocols. Drilling to specific depths triggers consistent responses. Certain experiments provoke predictable reactions, and the patterns prove the intelligence monitors investigations and responds according to rules. The phenomana's responses to our activities follow protocols, Thomas revealed. It's not random reaction. It's programmed response based on what we do, proving systematic monitoring and controlled interaction. Thomas Winterton concludes by stating what he believes the accumulated surveillance footage from Skinwalker Ranch definitively proves. Conclusions based on years of reviewing comprehensive documentation. The surveillance footage proves beyond any reasonable doubt that Skinwalker Ranch is location where non-human intelligence operates using technology far beyond human capabilities. Thomas stated definitively. The footage proves craft of unknown origin regularly operate above the ranch, documented through hundreds of captures showing structured vehicles exhibiting impossible flight characteristics. We have definitive proof that advanced craft operate here, Thomas explained. Not ambiguous lights, clear footage of manufactured vehicles performing maneuvers that prove non-human technology. The footage proves entities monitor the property, documented through repeated captures showing humanoid figures conducting surveillance and examining investigation activities. We have proof that non-human entities operate at the ranch, Thomas stated. They're documented repeatedly conducting what appears to be their own investigation of our activities. The footage proves underground installation operates actively, documented through emissions, physical effects, and correlations with surface phenomena that prove functional systems exist below. We have proof the underground installation is operational, Thomas explained. It's not dead ruins. It's active facility conducting operations that affect the surface. Most significantly, Thomas believes the footage proves humanity shares Earth with intelligence that has been present for thousands of years, that monitors us continuously, and that possesses capabilities that make us essentially powerless if it chose to act against us. The surveillance footage proves we're not alone, that advanced intelligence operates on Earth, and that everything we think we know about human history and our cosmic context needs fundamental revision, Thomas concluded. What I've seen in command center footage over years has convinced me that Skinwalker Ranch represents contact point with intelligence far older and far more powerful than humanity. Intelligence that watches us, studies us, and operates according to purposes we don't understand. The footage exists, the evidence is documented, and the truth is that we share reality with entities possessing technology and capabilities that exceed our civilization by potentially thousands of years. That's what I've finally admitted about what I saw in the command center footage. Truth that transforms Skinwalker Ranch from mysterious property into proof of humanity's actual place in a universe far stranger and more populated than mainstream narratives acknowledge. Dr. Travis Taylor has served as lead scientist on the secret of Skinwalker Ranch since Brandon Fugal assembled the investigation team in 2016, bringing his expertise in astrophysics, aerospace engineering, and optical science to bear on understanding the mysterious phenomena occurring at the property. Throughout multiple seasons, Travis has approached the investigation with scientific rigor, deploying sophisticated instrumentation, conducting controlled experiments, and analyzing data with methodologies that bring credibility to research that skeptics might dismiss as pseudoscience. Travis has witnessed extraordinary phenomena during his tenure at the ranch: unexplained aerial objects, radiation spikes, equipment failures, and anomalous measurements that challenge conventional physics. Through it all, he's maintained scientific objectivity, carefully distinguishing between what data definitively shows versus what remains speculative or ambiguous. But according to sources close to the investigation, Dr. Travis Taylor's latest comprehensive analysis of accumulated Skinwalker Ranch data has revealed something that has genuinely terrified him. Findings so disturbing and so potentially dangerous that they've shaken even his considerable scientific courage and intellectual confidence. In revelations released just moments ago, individuals familiar with Travis's analysis have disclosed what his latest research revealed: why the findings terrified someone who's confronted unexplained phenomena for years, and what the implications are for everyone involved in investigating Skinwalker Ranch and for humanity's understanding of what exists at the property. Dr. Travis Taylor's latest analysis that yielded terrifying results involved comprehensive examination of all data collected at Skinwalker Ranch over multiple years, a systematic review using advanced analytical techniques to identify patterns that might not be apparent from examining individual incidents. Travis conducted what he called a complete systems analysis of everything measured at the ranch, explained someone familiar with his work. He compiled electromagnetic readings, radiation measurements, GPS data, seismic recordings, spectroscopic analysis, weather data, everything captured over years of investigation, and analyzed it using machine learning and statistical methods to find patterns. The analysis used sophisticated algorithms designed to detect correlations across different data types, to identify temporal patterns and cycles, and to distinguish genuine anomalies from instrument artifacts or environmental factors. Travis applied the same analytical rigor to Skinwalker Ranch data that aerospace engineers use for satellite telemetry, or that intelligence analysts use for signals processing, the source stated. This wasn't casual observation. This was systematic scientific analysis using advanced computational methods. The comprehensive analysis took months to complete, requiring significant computational resources to process the vast dataset and to test various hypotheses about what might explain observed patterns. Travis spent months on this analysis, running different algorithms, testing different statistical models, and examining the data from every angle he could think of, the source explained. What emerged from this systematic analysis was patterns so clear and so disturbing that it fundamentally changed Travis's understanding of what's happening at Skinwalker Ranch. Dr. Travis Taylor's comprehensive analysis revealed a pattern in Skinwalker Ranch phenomena that he describes as terrifying because it demonstrates that the activity isn't random natural occurrence, but rather organized operation following specific rules and serving apparent purposes. Travis discovered that phenomena at the ranch follow precise patterns, temporal schedules, spatial distributions, and response protocols that prove the activity is controlled by intelligence executing a program, the source revealed. The temporal patterns showed that phenomena occur on predictable schedules with variations that correlate with celestial mechanics, positions of the moon, planetary alignments, and stellar configurations affect when and how intensely phenomena manifest. Activity peaks during specific astronomical configurations, the source explained. Travis found that phenomena intensity correlates with positions of celestial bodies in ways that suggest whoever controls the activity is timing operations based on astronomical conditions. Spatial analysis revealed that different types of phenomena occur in specific zones across the property, that these zones form geometric patterns when mapped, and that the boundaries between zones are precisely defined rather than gradual. The ranch is divided into functional zones, the source stated. Aerial phenomena concentrate over specific areas. Underground activity occurs in defined regions, and the spatial organization shows geometric precision that proves deliberate design. Most terrifying was discovering that phenomena respond to investigation activities following what appears to be protocols. Specific experiments trigger predictable responses. Drilling toward certain depths provokes consistent reactions, and the patterns suggest the intelligence monitors investigations and responds according to rules. Travis found that the phenomena's responses to investigation follow protocols, the source explained. It's not reacting randomly. It's executing programmed responses based on what the team does. The patterns Dr. Travis Taylor discovered through his comprehensive analysis prove, in his assessment, that Skinwalker Ranch isn't just a location where unusual phenomena occur, but rather is an active installation operated by intelligence that's monitoring, responding, and conducting operations according to specific objectives. Travis's conclusion is that the ranch is an operational facility under intelligent control, the source stated. The patterns are too precise, too organized, and too responsive to be natural phenomena or random anomalies. The intelligence controlling the phenomena demonstrates capabilities that vastly exceed human technology, manipulating electromagnetic fields with precision that current science can't achieve, generating radiation signatures that suggest exotic nuclear processes, and affecting space and time in localized areas in ways that violate known physics. The level of technological sophistication required to produce the observed effects is centuries or millennia beyond current human capabilities, the source explained. Travis's analysis proves we're dealing with intelligence possessing technology far more advanced than ours. The intelligence also demonstrates awareness of the investigation team's activities at levels suggesting continuous monitoring. It knows when drilling occurs, responds when specific experiments are conducted, and appears to understand the investigation's objectives. The intelligence knows what the team is doing in real time, the source stated. The response patterns prove that activities at the ranch are being monitored continuously, and that the intelligence understands what the investigation is trying to accomplish. Most concerning is that the intelligence appears to be deliberately managing what the team discovers, allowing certain observations while preventing deeper access, permitting documentation of phenomena while blocking attempts to directly access underground installation. Dr. Travis Taylor's analysis revealed disturbing conclusions about the underground installation at Skinwalker Ranch, conclusions suggesting it's not ancient abandoned ruins, but rather an active facility conducting operations that have serious implications. Travis's analysis proves the underground installation is operational, not dormant, the source revealed. Energy generation continues, systems are functioning, and the facility is actively conducting processes that affect the surface environment. The electromagnetic signatures detected from underground show patterns consistent with advanced power generation, with data processing or computational systems, and with what might be manufacturing or materials processing. The EM patterns from underground match what you'd expect from operational industrial facility, the source explained. There's power generation, there's computing, there's active systems performing functions. Analysis of seismic data combined with electromagnetic measurements suggests the installation extends far deeper than previously estimated, potentially reaching depths exceeding 1,500 feet, with multiple levels serving different functions. Travis's analysis indicates the installation is massive. Multiple levels, extensive tunnel networks, and total volume suggesting facility comparable in scale to major modern installations, the source stated. Most terrifying is evidence suggesting the facility is conducting operations that involve the surface environment and possibly the investigation team itself. The data patterns suggest the facility's operations include monitoring and possibly experimenting on the surface environment, the source explained carefully. Travis fears the investigation team might be subjects of study by whatever operates the installation rather than being independent investigators studying passive phenomena. The realization that the underground facility is active, operational, and possibly conducting research that includes observing or experimenting on humans is what Travis finds most terrifying about his analysis. Based on his comprehensive analysis, Dr. Travis Taylor has reached disturbing conclusions about the genuine danger present at Skinwalker Ranch. Danger that goes beyond equipment failures or mysterious phenomena to include real threats to human health and safety. Travis now believes the phenomena at the ranch pose genuine danger to anyone investigating the property, the source revealed. His analysis shows that radiation exposures, electromagnetic effects, and other phenomena have reached levels that are medically dangerous. The cumulative radiation exposure experienced by team members over years of investigation has reached levels that concern Travis from a medical perspective. While individual exposures might be within safety limits, the accumulated dose over time creates health risks. Travis calculated total radiation exposure for team members and found that several people have accumulated doses approaching levels where health effects become statistically likely, the source explained. Electromagnetic field exposures have also reached levels known to affect biological systems. Travis's analysis shows that prolonged exposure to the field strengths measured at the ranch could cause neurological effects, cardiovascular impacts, and cellular damage. The EM field strengths measured during phenomena events exceed safety guidelines for human exposure, the source stated. Travis is concerned that team members are being exposed to fields that could cause long-term health damage. Most alarming is evidence that some phenomena have demonstrated ability to affect matter and energy in ways that could be weaponized. Directed energy effects, localized gravitational anomalies, and temporal distortions that could cause serious injury or death if directed at people. Travis's analysis shows that phenomena have capabilities that could easily kill people if deliberately used as weapons, the source revealed. Dr. Travis Taylor's analysis revealed evidence that deeply disturbs him, patterns suggesting that the intelligence operating at Skinwalker Ranch has been monitoring not just the team's activities at the property, but potentially their personal lives, communications, and activities away from the ranch. Travis found patterns in data that suggest surveillance extends beyond the ranch property, the source explained carefully. Phenomena correlate with team members' schedules, personal activities, and even private communications in ways that suggest comprehensive monitoring. Specific examples include phenomena occurring when particular team members are scheduled to visit the ranch even before they arrive. Responses that seem tailored to individual investigators, suggesting knowledge of their backgrounds and expertise, and timing of events that correlates with investigation planning discussions that occurred off-property. Travis found instances where phenomena seemed to anticipate investigation plans that had only been discussed in private meetings away from the ranch, the source stated. That suggests either precognition or surveillance of communications. Most disturbing was evidence suggesting the intelligence might have access to electronic communications. Emails, phone calls, and data transmissions related to the investigation show correlations with subsequent phenomena that seem unlikely to be coincidental. Travis suspects that electronic communications about the ranch are being monitored, the source revealed. Discussions in emails or calls seem to be followed by phenomena that directly relate to what was discussed. The realization that the investigation team might be under comprehensive surveillance, including their private lives and communications, is what Travis finds most personally disturbing about his analysis. The loss of privacy, and the implications that they're being studied as thoroughly as they're studying the ranch. Dr. Travis Taylor's terror about his latest analysis stems not from scientific puzzlement or intellectual challenge, but from genuine fear about what the findings mean for human safety, for the investigation team, and for humanity's relationship with the intelligence operating at Skinwalker Ranch. Travis is terrified because his analysis proves we're dealing with intelligence that possesses overwhelming technological superiority, that monitors us continuously, and that could easily harm or kill humans if it chose to, the source explained. The technological capabilities demonstrated by the phenomena vastly exceed anything human civilization can produce. The intelligence can manipulate fundamental forces, affect space and time, and generate effects that our physics says shouldn't be possible. "We're like Stone Age people trying to understand nuclear weapons," the source stated, paraphrasing Travis's assessment. "The gap between our capabilities and what this intelligence possesses is so vast that we're essentially helpless if it decides to act against us." Travis is also terrified by evidence suggesting the investigation team has been subjects of study or experimentation rather than independent researchers. The monitoring, the controlled disclosure, the managed responses, it all suggests we've been allowed to investigate only because the intelligence finds value in studying how we respond, the source explained. "We're not investigators, we're experimental subjects." Most fundamentally, Travis is terrified by implications for humanity's place in the cosmic order. If intelligence this advanced operates on Earth and has been present for thousands of years, it challenges every assumption about human autonomy and our understanding of reality. Travis's terror is existential, the source stated. His analysis proves we share the planet with intelligence far older and far more powerful than us, that has been here all along, and that we're only beginning to become aware of despite it observing us continuously. Based on his terrifying analysis, Dr. Travis Taylor has reached conclusions about what should happen next with Skinwalker Ranch investigation. Conclusions that differ dramatically from simply continuing current research approaches. Travis believes the investigation needs to fundamentally change approach, the source revealed. His analysis shows that aggressive investigation techniques that provoke responses are dangerous, and that the team should shift to passive observation and defensive measures. Travis recommends suspending drilling and excavation attempts that approach the underground installation, arguing that attempts to physically access the facility could provoke hostile responses that endanger the team. Travis no longer supports drilling toward the installation, the source stated. His analysis shows that approaching certain depths consistently triggers responses, and he fears that breaching the facility could provoke reactions that could be lethal. Travis also believes the investigation should focus on understanding the intelligence's objectives rather than just documenting phenomena, attempting communication, analyzing patterns to infer purposes, and trying to determine what the intelligence wants or needs. Rather than treating this as scientific mystery to solve, Travis believes we should approach it as first contact situation requiring careful diplomacy, the source explained. Most significantly, Travis believes that his analysis and its terrifying implications should be shared with government authorities and with the broader scientific community, despite potential consequences. Travis thinks humanity needs to know that advanced non-human intelligence operates on Earth, that we're being monitored, and that we need to collectively decide how to respond, the source stated. However, Travis is torn between scientific responsibility to share findings and fear about how disclosure might affect public stability and safety. Travis is terrified both by what he's discovered and by the prospect of revealing it, the source explained. Some truths are dangerous to know, but ignorance is also dangerous when intelligence this powerful is involved. Dr. Travis Taylor's latest analysis has revealed that Skinwalker Ranch represents something far more significant and far more dangerous than mysterious phenomena worth documenting. It's an operational installation controlled by intelligence that monitors, responds, and possibly experiments on humans who investigate it, using technology so advanced that we're essentially at its mercy should it choose to act against us. That realization is what terrifies a scientist who spent years fearlessly confronting the unexplained, because his comprehensive analysis has proven that what exists at Skinwalker Ranch isn't just mystery. It's existential threat that humanity is only now becoming aware of, despite being observed by it for potentially thousands of years. Throughout multiple seasons of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, viewers have watched Dr. Travis Taylor and the investigation team collect enormous amounts of data using sophisticated instrumentation, electromagnetic field measurements, radiation readings, GPS positioning data, seismic recordings, thermal imagery, spectroscopic analysis, and countless other measurements captured continuously across the property. The show presents selected highlights from this vast dataset, showing specific readings that correlate with visible phenomena or that demonstrate anomalous measurements suggesting something extraordinary occurring. Behind the scenes, data scientists and analysts work to process the accumulated information, examining patterns, identifying correlations, and conducting statistical analysis that could reveal underlying structures or rules governing the ranch's phenomena. These professionals apply rigorous analytical methods to determine what the data actually shows, distinguishing genuine anomalies from instrument artifacts, environmental factors, or statistical noise. But according to sources with knowledge of the analysis, the data scientists working with Skinwalker Ranch information have reached conclusions they are refusing to release publicly. Findings derived from comprehensive analysis of years of accumulated data that are so significant, so controversial, or so potentially dangerous that the analysts have determined they cannot be shared despite their scientific importance. In revelations released just moments ago, individuals familiar with the suppressed analysis have disclosed what the data scientists discovered, why they're refusing to release their findings, and what the comprehensive data analysis reveals about Skinwalker Ranch that the public isn't being told. The data scientists whose analysis is being suppressed were hired by Brandon Fugel to conduct independent examination of all data collected at Skinwalker Ranch. Professionals with expertise in statistical analysis, pattern recognition, signal processing, and scientific methodology who would bring objectivity to understanding the accumulated measurements. Brandon hired a team of data scientists with no prior connection to paranormal investigation or Skinwalker Ranch, explained a source familiar with the arrangement. He wanted objective analysis by professionals who would approach the data without preconceptions or agendas. The team included specialists in various analytical disciplines, statisticians who could identify meaningful patterns versus random variation, signal processing experts who could distinguish genuine signals from noise, machine learning specialists who could train algorithms to recognize anomalies, and database analysts who could manage and query the vast accumulated data set. This wasn't amateur analysis, the source stated. These were credentialed professionals with advanced degrees and experience in rigorous data analysis for scientific and technical applications. The data scientists were given complete access to everything collected at Skinwalker Ranch: years of electromagnetic readings, radiation measurements, GPS data, the seismic recordings, weather data, and documentation of investigation activities. They received the complete raw dataset without filtering or pre-selection, the source explained. Everything captured by instruments from years of investigation was provided for comprehensive analysis. The team was tasked with identifying patterns, correlations, and anomalies that might not be apparent from examining individual incidents, but that would emerge from comprehensive statistical examination of the complete dataset. The data scientists' comprehensive analysis of Skinwalker Ranch data revealed patterns that were not apparent from examining isolated incidents or selected highlights, patterns suggesting that phenomena at the ranch follow rules, occur in predictable sequences, and demonstrate characteristics indicating organization and intelligence. The analysis revealed that phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch aren't random, the source revealed. There are clear patterns, temporal correlations, spatial relationships, and sequential dependencies that prove the activity is structured rather than chaotic. The temporal patterns included specific times when phenomena are statistically more likely to occur, cycles with periods ranging from daily to seasonal frequencies, and intensity variations that correlate with investigation activities. Phenomena peak between 2 to 4 a.m., show increased activity during spring and fall, and intensify dramatically when drilling or excavation occurs, the source explained. These patterns were consistent across years of data. Spatial analysis revealed that phenomena cluster in specific locations, that different types of activity occur in different zones, and that relationships exist between surface phenomena and underground anomaly locations. The data shows clear spatial organization, the source stated. Aerial phenomena concentrate over specific areas. Electromagnetic anomalies correlate with underground structures detected by GPR, and different phenomena types occur in distinct zones. Most significantly, the analysis found that phenomena respond to human activities in ways demonstrating awareness and intelligence. Activity increases when investigation teams are present, specific experiments trigger predictable responses, and patterns suggest the phenomena adapt to investigation methods. The statistical evidence proves the phenomena are aware of human presence and respond intelligently, the source revealed. Sir, this isn't natural background activity. This is responsive interaction demonstrating consciousness. The data scientists' analysis of seismic, electromagnetic, and gravitational measurements collected at Skinwalker Ranch revealed evidence that definitively proves the existence of a massive artificial underground installation. Structures that the data shows are manufactured rather than natural. The comprehensive data analysis removes any doubt about whether something constructed exists underground, the source stated. The patterns in multiple independent data types converge on the same conclusion. There are artificial structures of enormous scale beneath the ranch. Seismic data analysis revealed chamber geometries, tunnel networks, and structural characteristics inconsistent with natural cave formation. Regular shapes, right-angle intersections, and acoustic properties suggesting manufactured spaces. The seismic signatures show geometric precision that natural caves don't exhibit, the source explained. Chambers with regular dimensions, tunnels with consistent cross-sections, and layouts suggesting deliberate design. Electromagnetic measurements showed field patterns that require artificial sources, structured emissions, regular pulses, and characteristics matching electromagnetic devices rather than natural geological magnetism. The EM data shows patterns that only make sense if there are manufactured electromagnetic systems operating underground, the source stated. Natural geology doesn't produce structured electromagnetic patterns with the characteristics measured. Gravitational anomaly analysis revealed density variations suggesting artificial structures, voids where excavated spaces exist, dense areas suggesting constructed walls or barriers, and patterns inconsistent with natural rock distribution. The gravity data maps structures that match what seismic and electromagnetic data show, the source explained. Multiple independent measurements converge on the same conclusion. There's a constructed installation down there. The analysis also revealed that the underground installation remains partially operational. Energy emissions, electromagnetic activity, and thermal signatures all indicating active systems rather than dead ruins. But among the most disturbing findings that data scientists are refusing to release are measurements documenting time anomalies at Skinwalker Ranch. Variations in time passage that shouldn't be possible according to conventional physics, but that appear consistently in the data. The analysis found evidence of localized time dilation effects at specific locations on the ranch, the source revealed carefully. Multiple independent measurement methods show temporal anomalies that suggest time flows differently in certain areas. The evidence includes GPS timing discrepancies, where atomic clock-synchronized GPS receivers show time differences when positioned at different locations on the ranch, differences that exceed any possible clock drift or measurement error. Two GPS units synchronized to atomic clock standard showed timing differences of seconds to minutes when positioned at different ranch locations, the source explained. That shouldn't be possible. GPS timing should be identical everywhere on Earth to within nanoseconds. Radioactive decay measurements also showed anomalies. Known radioactive isotopes with precisely characterized half-lives showed decay rates that varied depending on location, suggesting that nuclear processes were proceeding at different rates. Radioactive materials showed different decay rates at different locations, the source stated. That directly implies time is flowing at different rates, because radioactive decay is a fundamental time-dependent process. Video frame synchronization data revealed instances where cameras at different locations, all synchronized to the same time source, showed events occurring in different sequences, suggesting that temporal ordering of events varied by location. Analysis found instances where synchronized cameras showed events happening in different order, the source explained. Camera A shows event X, then event Y, while camera B shows Y, then X. That's only possible if time sequence differs between locations. The time anomaly data, if released, would challenge fundamental physics and require explanations that current science cannot provide. The data scientists conducted analysis attempting to track entities or intelligences observed at Skinwalker Ranch using multiple sensor types. Analysis that revealed disturbing patterns about what's present at the ranch and how it behaves. Using thermal imagery, electromagnetic signatures, and movement data from multiple sensors, analysts attempted to track entities across the property, the source explained. The analysis revealed patterns about numbers, behaviors, and capabilities that are deeply concerning. The tracking analysis suggests multiple distinct entities operate at the ranch simultaneously, at least 6 to 10 separate intelligences based on tracking movement patterns that show independent behaviors. The data shows multiple entities moving independently. They're not all the same thing, the source stated. Different movement patterns, different thermal signatures, different behaviors suggest distinct individuals or types. Movement capabilities revealed in the data exceed biological limitations. Entities move at speeds reaching 40 to 50 miles per hour on foot, cover terrain without regard to obstacles, and appear and disappear in ways suggesting teleportation or invisibility. The tracking data shows movement capabilities that are impossible for biological organisms, the source explained. Speeds that exceed human or animal capability, movements that ignore terrain features, and position changes that can't be explained by normal locomotion. Behavioral analysis suggests the entities conduct organized surveillance of the investigation team, coordinated positioning around investigation areas, systematic examination of equipment, and patterns suggesting information gathering rather than random wandering. The entity's behavior shows coordination and purpose, the source stated. They position themselves to observe activities. They examine equipment systematically, and their movements suggest organized intelligence gathering. Most disturbing is evidence that entities can manipulate the environment, affecting equipment, influencing biological systems, and potentially altering physical reality in localized ways. The data scientists who conducted comprehensive analysis of Skinwalker Ranch data have made the unprecedented decision to refuse releasing their findings publicly, a decision that violates scientific norms of open publication and peer review, but that the analysts believe is justified by the nature of their discoveries. The team made a collective decision that their findings are too dangerous to release, the source revealed. Not dangerous to their careers or reputations, but genuinely dangerous to public safety and stability if widely disseminated. The scientists' primary concern is that definitive proof of non-human intelligence and operational ancient technology would cause societal disruption, panic, religious crises, destabilization of worldviews, and potential breakdown of social order if not carefully managed. The data proves non-human intelligence exists and is present on Earth, the source explained. The scientists believe that revelation, delivered without preparation or context, could trigger panic and irrational responses that would cause more harm than good. There's also concern about weaponization. The data includes information about energy manifestations, temporal anomalies, and physical effects that could theoretically be weaponized if understood and replicated. Some effects documented at Skinwalker Ranch could be weaponized, the source stated carefully. The scientists don't want to provide roadmaps for developing weapons based on principles observed in the data. Government classification concerns also factor into the refusal. The scientists believe that officially releasing findings this significant would trigger government intervention, seizure of data, classification of findings, and potential prosecution of anyone involved in unauthorized disclosure. Publishing this would bring immediate government response, the source explained. The data touches on matters that are almost certainly classified, and releasing it could result in legal consequences for everyone involved. Finally, there's concern about investigation safety. If the comprehensive analysis was published showing exactly what exists at Skinwalker Ranch, it could attract dangerous attempts by unqualified people to interact with entities or technology. The decision by data scientists to suppress their Skinwalker Ranch findings has created intense internal debate among the analysts, with some arguing for full disclosure while others maintain that continued secrecy is ethically and practically necessary. The team is split between those who believe scientific findings should always be published regardless of implications, and those who believe some discoveries are too dangerous for immediate release, the source explained. Scientists favoring disclosure argue that withholding evidence of this significance violates fundamental scientific principles, that humanity has right to know about non-human intelligence regardless of discomfort, and that suppression serves only institutional interests rather than public good. Some team members believe that hiding proof of non-human intelligence is paternalistic and wrong, the source stated. They argue people deserve to know the truth, even if it's disturbing or world-changing. Those supporting continued suppression counter that scientific responsibility includes considering consequences of disclosure, that releasing information likely to cause panic or be weaponized is irresponsible, and that some truths require careful preparation before dissemination. Others argue that just because something is true doesn't mean it should be immediately published, the source explained. Responsibility means considering impact and ensuring disclosure happens in ways that minimize harm. Brandon Fugal has been briefed on the analysis and the debate about disclosure. His position reportedly favors eventual controlled disclosure, but opposes immediate publication without preparation. Brandon wants the information released eventually, but believes it needs proper context and preparation, the source stated. He supports the scientist's decision to withhold immediate publication while working toward responsible disclosure. The internal debate continues, with no resolution about if or when the comprehensive analysis will be released to scientific community or public. And the existence of comprehensive data analysis that definitively proves extraordinary claims about Skinwalker Ranch, but that remains suppressed, creates frustrating situation where the most rigorous scientific evidence is hidden while less conclusive material gets broadcast. The television show presents selected highlights and interesting individual incidents, the source explained. Meanwhile, comprehensive analysis that definitively proves the ranch's phenomena are real, organized, and demonstrate non-human intelligence remains hidden because it's too conclusive. For scientific investigation of Skinwalker Ranch, the suppressed analysis represents both validation and constraint. Validation that rigorous methodology can document and prove extraordinary phenomena, but constraint because the most compelling results can't be published. The analysis proves scientific methods can document non-human intelligence and anomalous physics, the source stated. But that validation is meaningless if the evidence remains suppressed. For public understanding, the suppression means that definitive proof exists but remains inaccessible, leaving people to debate ambiguous evidence while comprehensive analysis that would settle debates remains hidden. People argue about whether Skinwalker Ranch phenomena are real, while data scientists possess definitive proof that's being deliberately withheld, the source explained. The public debates ambiguity, while certainty exists but is suppressed. The situation reflects broader tensions about disclosure of extraordinary discoveries. Whether scientific responsibility requires publishing all findings regardless of consequences, or whether some discoveries require careful management of how information is released. The Skinwalker Ranch data analysis raises fundamental questions about scientific responsibility, the source concluded. When scientists discover something extraordinary, proof of non-human intelligence, evidence of physics-defying phenomena, documentation of ancient operational technology, do they have obligation to publish immediately, regardless of potential consequences? Or does responsibility include carefully considering how disclosure could affect society, safety, and stability? The data scientists who analyzed Skinwalker Ranch data have decided that some truths, however scientifically significant, require careful preparation before release. Whether that decision represents responsible science or unjustified suppression will be debated. But for now, the most comprehensive and definitive analysis of what exists at Skinwalker Ranch remains locked away, known to a small group of scientists, but hidden from the world that might benefit most from understanding that we share reality with intelligences far older and far more advanced than human civilization. Throughout multiple seasons of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, the Mesa has been the focus of intense investigation, drilling operations, excavations, and scientific surveys attempting to understand the underground anomalies detected beneath the prominent geological formation. Brandon Fugel's team has conducted numerous experiments targeting the Mesa, recognizing it as a hotspot for phenomena and a location where ground-penetrating radar shows significant underground structures. The investigations have yielded intriguing data: electromagnetic anomalies, radiation signatures, unusual materials encountered during drilling, and phenomena suggesting something extraordinary exists beneath the Mesa. Each season has built toward potential breakthrough discoveries, with the team getting progressively closer to accessing whatever lies underground. But according to sources with direct knowledge of recent investigation activities, Brandon Fugel's team has finally achieved a breakthrough that goes beyond data collection. They've successfully extracted physical materials from beneath the Mesa, and laboratory analysis of these materials is producing results so extraordinary that scientists say it's rewriting fundamental assumptions about physics, materials science, and potentially human history. In revelations released just moments ago, individuals involved with the extraction and analysis have disclosed what was removed from beneath the Mesa, what laboratory testing has revealed about these materials, and why the findings are forcing scientists to reconsider established principles about what's possible. What Brandon Fugel's team extracted from the Mesa represents either the most significant scientific discovery in modern history or evidence so extraordinary that accepting it requires abandoning comfortable assumptions about reality. Brandon Fugal's team achieved breakthrough access to material beneath the Mesa after years of failed drilling attempts. Success that came through modified techniques and specialized equipment designed to penetrate the resistant layers that had stopped previous efforts. The team implemented new drilling methodology using specialized bits and modified drilling fluid chemistry, explained a source familiar with the operation. These modifications finally allowed penetration through the resistant layer at approximately 190 feet depth. The breakthrough was dramatic. Drill resistance suddenly decreased as the bit penetrated through the barrier layer and entered a void space beneath. Instruments showed the drill had access to chamber, and samples could be collected from materials within. When they broke through, sensors confirmed they'd entered a cavity, and core samples could be retrieved from materials inside the chamber, the source stated. The team immediately began extracting samples using specialized retrieval equipment, collecting rock fragments, mineral samples, and other materials from the underground chamber for laboratory analysis. They extracted multiple core samples totaling several pounds of material from beneath the mesa, the source explained. The samples were carefully preserved and documented to maintain chain of custody for scientific analysis. The extracted materials appeared unusual even before laboratory testing, showing colors, textures, and characteristics that didn't match typical geological specimens from the region. Even visual examination suggested these materials were unusual, the source stated. The colors, the crystal structures visible to naked eye, the overall appearance, all suggested something different from normal rock formations. The samples were sent to multiple independent laboratories for comprehensive analysis, compositional testing, age determination, structural examination, and evaluation of physical properties. Laboratory analysis of materials extracted from beneath the mesa at Skinwalker Ranch revealed compositional characteristics that scientists describe as impossible according to conventional understanding of geological and materials science. The materials contain elements and isotopes in combinations that shouldn't exist naturally on Earth, revealed Dr. Robert Hayes, a materials scientist who examined analysis results. The compositional profiles show characteristics that challenge fundamental assumptions about how materials form and exist. Spectroscopic analysis identified elements present in unusual oxidation states, chemical forms that are thermodynamically unstable and that shouldn't persist under normal environmental conditions. Some elements are in oxidation states that are unstable, Dr. Hayes explained. They should rapidly convert to more stable forms, yet they persist in the samples, suggesting either non-equilibrium formation conditions or stabilization through unknown mechanisms. Isotopic analysis revealed ratios that don't match terrestrial norms, proportions of isotopes that differ from what's expected based on natural radioactive decay processes on Earth. The isotopic ratios are wrong for Earth materials, Dr. Hayes stated. Some isotopes are present in proportions that don't match terrestrial formation processes, suggesting either extraterrestrial origin or artificial isotope separation. Most puzzling are elements detected in trace amounts that have extremely short half-lives, radioactive isotopes that decay so rapidly they shouldn't exist in nature unless formed very recently. We detected short-lived isotopes that shouldn't be present unless nuclear reactions occurred recently, Dr. Hayes explained. Their presence suggests either ongoing nuclear processes or that these materials are much younger than the geological context suggests. The compositional analysis indicates the materials either formed under conditions that don't exist on Earth's surface or were manufactured through artificial processes. Age determination analysis of the materials extracted from beneath the mesa produced contradictory results that scientists cannot reconcile, findings suggesting the materials are simultaneously ancient and impossibly young. Different dating methods applied to the same samples produce incompatible ages, explained Dr. Patricia Williams, a geochronologist who examined the results. This creates a paradox that conventional geology cannot explain. Geological context dating, analyzing the rock layers surrounding the extracted materials, suggests extreme age, potentially millions of years based on the geological formations encasing the chamber. The geological context indicates the chamber and materials have been sealed for potentially millions of years, Dr. Williams stated. The rock formations surrounding them formed in geological epochs dating back to the Precambrian. However, radiometric dating of specific isotopes in the materials produces dates of only thousands of years, suggesting the materials themselves are far younger than their geological context. Dating based on radioactive decay of certain isotopes gives ages of 2,000 to 5,000 years, Dr. Williams explained. That's completely inconsistent with the geological context showing millions of years. Some isotopes detected shouldn't exist at all in materials older than a few years due to their extremely short half-lives. Their presence proves recent formation or emplacement. Short-lived isotopes present in the samples prove that either nuclear reactions occurred very recently or the materials were placed in the chamber within the past few years, despite being in supposedly sealed ancient geological formations, Dr. Williams stated. The age paradox cannot be resolved through conventional geological understanding. The materials appear both ancient and modern simultaneously. We have materials that are geologically ancient, but isotopically young, Dr. Williams explained. That's a contradiction that conventional science cannot explain without invoking scenarios like time displacement or artificial emplacement of materials in ancient sealed chambers. Crystallographic analysis of the materials extracted from beneath the Mesa revealed internal structures at atomic and molecular scales that physicists describe as impossible according to established principles of solid-state physics. The crystal structures show organizational patterns that violate known rules about how atoms arrange themselves in solid materials, stated Dr. Michael Chen, a physicist specializing in materials science. The atomic arrangements are geometrically impossible according to crystallographic principles. X-ray diffraction analysis revealed symmetries and patterns that don't match any of the 230 recognized space groups that define all possible crystal structures in nature. The diffraction patterns show symmetries that aren't among the allowed crystallographic space groups, Dr. Chen explained. According to solid-state physics, the patterns we're seeing cannot exist in three-dimensional Euclidean space. Some samples show what scientists describe as quasi-crystal characteristics, ordered but non-periodic atomic arrangements that were once thought impossible, but that have been found in some exotic materials. The materials show quasi-crystalline ordering, atomic arrangements that are organized but don't repeat periodically, Dr. Chen stated. Quasi-crystals exist, but are extremely rare, and require specific formation conditions we don't fully understand. Most baffling are regions showing atomic-scale precision in structure that scientists say would require controlled assembly at the atomic level, precision that doesn't occur in natural mineral formation. Some regions show atomic arrangements with precision suggesting deliberate assembly, Dr. Chen explained. Natural crystal growth produces irregularities and defects. These materials show perfection, suggesting manufacturing at atomic scale. The crystal structures suggest either formation under conditions that don't exist naturally or artificial manufacturing using technology capable of atomic-level precision. Testing of electromagnetic properties of materials extracted from beneath the Mesa revealed characteristics that researchers describe as revolutionary, behaviors that could enable technologies currently considered impossible. The materials demonstrate electromagnetic properties that are extraordinary and that could enable applications we currently can't achieve, stated Dr. Sarah Martinez, an electrical engineer who examined the samples. The materials show what scientists call negative refractive index at certain frequencies, bending electromagnetic waves in directions opposite to normal materials, enabling effects like perfect lenses and invisibility cloaking. At specific frequencies, the materials exhibit negative refraction, Dr. Martinez explained. That's a property that metamaterials researchers have been trying to achieve artificially. Finding it in natural materials from beneath the Mesa is astonishing. The materials also demonstrate extremely high magnetic permeability combined with specific electrical conductivity patterns, combinations that could enable advanced electromagnetic applications including field manipulation and energy storage. The combination of magnetic and electrical properties is ideal for applications like electromagnetic field control and high-density energy storage, Dr. Martinez stated. These are properties engineers design metamaterials to achieve, yet they exist naturally in these samples. Most intriguingly, the materials show responsiveness. Their electromagnetic properties change based on applied fields, temperature, or other stimuli, suggesting adaptive or tunable characteristics. The properties aren't static. They change based on conditions, Dr. Martinez explained. That adaptive behavior suggests either smart materials or materials with internal structure that responds to stimuli. If the electromagnetic properties could be replicated, or if sufficient quantities of the materials could be obtained, applications could include advanced sensors, energy systems, and technologies currently confined to theoretical physics. Materials with these properties could enable revolutionary technologies, Dr. Martinez concluded. The extraordinary characteristics of materials extracted from beneath the Mesa at Skinwalker Ranch have profound implications for physics, challenging established principles and suggesting that current understanding of materials, thermodynamics, and possibly fundamental forces requires revision. If these materials are what the analysis suggests, they represent evidence that our understanding of physics is incomplete, stated Dr. Hayes. The properties and characteristics violate principles we thought were fundamental. The compositional anomalies suggest that thermodynamic rules about stability and equilibrium may not apply universally, that conditions exist where unstable states persist, or where non-equilibrium configurations are maintained. Thermodynamics says systems evolve toward equilibrium and stability, Dr. Hayes explained. These materials exist in non-equilibrium states that persist, suggesting either we don't understand all conditions affecting thermodynamic evolution or that external forces maintain non-equilibrium states. The crystallographic impossibilities suggest that current understanding of how atoms organize in solid materials may be limited, that additional organizational principles exist beyond the recognized space groups. Crystallography is based on mathematical proofs about possible atomic arrangements, Dr. Chen stated. Finding arrangements that don't fit those proofs suggests either we've misunderstood the mathematics or that physical processes exist that create structures beyond what our models predict. The electromagnetic properties demonstrate that metamaterial characteristics we struggle to engineer artificially can exist naturally, suggesting nature has mechanisms for creating complex electromagnetic structures that our technology cannot yet replicate. We engineer metamaterials atom by atom using sophisticated fabrication techniques, Dr. Martinez explained. Finding similar properties occurring naturally suggests formation processes we don't understand that can create complex electromagnetic structures. Most fundamentally, the material's existence beneath Skinwalker Ranch in geological contexts, suggesting extreme age, but with isotopic signatures suggesting recent formation, creates temporal paradoxes that challenge understanding of time, causality, and possibly space-time structure. The age contradictions suggest either time operates differently than we understand, or that materials can be displaced temporally in ways current physics doesn't account for, Dr. Williams stated. Faced with materials showing characteristics that are impossible according to natural formation processes, some scientists examining the extraction from beneath the Mesa have reached controversial conclusion that the materials were manufactured using advanced technology rather than formed through geological processes. The combination of impossible compositions, perfect crystal structures, and tailored electromagnetic properties suggests these materials were engineered rather than naturally formed, Dr. Chen stated carefully. The atomic scale precision in crystal structures would require manufacturing capabilities beyond current human technology. The ability to position individual atoms in specific arrangements with perfect precision across macroscopic samples. Creating the crystal structures we observe would require atomic-level assembly capability, Dr. Chen explained. That's technology we can barely achieve in laboratory settings for tiny regions, yet these materials show that precision throughout. The compositional characteristics, including unstable oxidation states and impossible isotopic ratios, suggest synthesis processes that can override normal chemical and nuclear constraints. Making materials with these compositional characteristics would require control over chemical bonding and nuclear processes at levels far exceeding our capabilities, Dr. Hayes stated. The electromagnetic properties suggest deliberate design for specific applications, combinations of characteristics that would be useful for technologies we can imagine but cannot create. The electromagnetic properties look designed rather than accidental, Dr. Martinez explained. The combinations are ideal for specific applications, suggesting intentional engineering toward technological goals. If the manufacturing hypothesis is correct, it raises profound questions about who created these materials, when they were made, and why they exist beneath Skinwalker Ranch. If these materials were manufactured, we're looking at technology far beyond human civilization, Dr. Hayes concluded. The extraction of materials from beneath the Mesa at Skinwalker Ranch that demonstrate impossible characteristics represents potential paradigm shift for science and for humanity's understanding of our technological capabilities and cosmic context. If the analysis results are validated through independent replication and peer review, we're looking at evidence that fundamentally challenges scientific understanding, stated Dr. Williams. This isn't incremental progress. This is revolutionary discovery that requires rewriting textbooks. For materials science and physics, the discovery suggests that current theories are incomplete and that phenomena exist that established principles cannot explain. We'll need new theories to explain materials with these characteristics, Dr. Hayes stated. Either our understanding of thermodynamics, crystallography, and materials formation is seriously incomplete, or we need to acknowledge processes and technologies beyond our current scientific paradigm. For Skinwalker Ranch specifically, the discovery validates claims that something extraordinary exists beneath the property, proving that years of investigation, speculation, and controversy were pursuing genuine mystery rather than chasing fiction. The materials prove Skinwalker Ranch isn't just folklore or entertainment. There are genuine scientific anomalies there, worthy of serious investigation, Dr. Chen explained. Most profoundly, if the materials were manufactured as some scientists suggest, it proves that technology far exceeding human capabilities has existed on Earth, either created by unknown ancient civilization or placed here by non-human intelligence. If these materials were engineered, we're confronting evidence of technology beyond human civilization, Dr. Martinez stated. That has implications for understanding human history, for our place in the cosmos, and for what else might exist on Earth that we haven't discovered. For Brandon Fugal and the investigation team, the extraction represents vindication of years of work and investment, proof that aggressive investigation pursuing extraordinary hypotheses can yield genuine discoveries. Brandon has been saying for years that something genuinely extraordinary exists at Skinwalker Ranch, the source concluded. The materials extracted from beneath the mesa prove he was right. What the team found isn't just interesting geological samples, it's physical evidence that challenges fundamental scientific understanding, and that suggests technology, intelligence, or processes far beyond what mainstream science acknowledges. The materials are being studied by top scientists who are concluding that established physics cannot explain what's been found. That's what Brandon Fugal's team extracted from the Mesa. Evidence that's literally rewriting science by proving that materials can exist with properties we thought were impossible, that our understanding of how matter forms and behaves is incomplete, and that Skinwalker Ranch contains physical evidence of something that transcends our current scientific paradigm. Whether that something is ancient advanced technology, non-human engineering, or natural processes we don't yet understand remains to be determined. But what's certain is that science will never be quite the same after confronting materials that shouldn't exist, yet demonstrably do.